Now, why does it feel like the league's biggest stars are always one awkward hit, one extra game, or one play through it decision away from disaster? Now, I'm not talking about bad luck. I'm not talking about hockey being physical. I'm talking about patterns, repeated ones, the kind you start noticing when Connor McDavid limps to the bench again, when Auston Matthews disappears for weeks, when Jack Hughes can't get through a season without something falling apart. At some point, you stop saying, "Wow, that's brutal," and start asking, wait, why does this keep happening? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The NHL doesn't just fail to protect its superstars. In a lot of ways, it actively puts them in harm's way. Not on purpose, not with evil intent, but through systems, habits, and choices that quietly stack the deck against the very players fans pay to see. And the wild part? Most of this is completely avoidable. Now let's talk about the injury crisis first, because it's impossible to ignore anymore. The 2024-25 season has basically turned into an open wound. Florida is missing Matthew Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov at the same time. Edmonton watched Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both go down in March. Toronto fans are once again staring at the injury report instead of the standings, with Auston Matthews and Matthew Knies sidelined. Jack Hughes, who should be the face of a new generation, has spent chunks of his career fighting shoulder issues, upper body injuries, and now a finger injury that somehow happened at a team dinner. A team dinner! Hockey finds a way. And that's just the headline names. Victor Hedman, Adam Fox, Charlie McAvoy, Connor Hellebuyck. Pick a contender, and chances are their best player has missed time or is playing through something that would have normal humans calling in sick for a month. Zoom out, and it gets worse. San Jose has had 44 separate injuries, leading to 338 games missed. Toronto sits over 330 games lost. Colorado and Columbus aren't far behind. This isn't one unlucky locker room. This is league-wide fatigue showing up in medical charts. So why is this happening? Start with the schedule. The NHL's 82-game grind is already brutal, but it's not just the number of games, it's how they're stacked. Back-to-backs, 4 games in 6 nights, red-eye flights across time zones where your body thinks it's midnight but the puck drops anyway. Players aren't just tired, they're chronically exhausted. There's actual data on this. Teams crossing multiple time zones win less and score less. Recovery from circadian disruption takes time, often longer than the schedule allows, which is hilarious when you realize the league often gives players 0 days to recover. Montreal to Vancouver? Cool, your body still thinks it's 10 p.m., but good luck chasing a guy doing 40 kilometers an hour. Even executives admit it's a problem. Jim Rutherford straight up said the compressed schedule made injuries expected. Not surprising, expected. And guess what's coming next? An 84-game season starting in 2026-27. More games, same bodies, same ice, same expectations to tough it out. And before you say, well, the NBA does this too, here's the difference. The NBA embraced rest. Hockey treats it like a character flaw. You miss a game in basketball and it's load management. You miss a game in hockey and people start asking if you still love the game. Which brings us to enforcement, or the lack of it. The NHL loves announcing rules about player safety. Rule 48 sounded great on paper. Headshots bad, player safety good. Everyone claps. And while hits directly targeting the head have decreased, the overall concussion picture hasn't meaningfully improved. Most concussions still come from body contact near the boards, secondary contact. Players getting driven into the glass, head snapping off ice. The mechanism shifted, but the result didn't. And here's the kicker. Those plays often fall into a gray area where nothing gets called. Meanwhile, leagues with stricter enforcement penalize dangerous contact far more consistently per game. The NHL's version of safety sometimes feels like theater. A hit looks awful, the replay runs 10 times, Twitter explodes, and then nothing. No suspension, no fine, maybe a stern look. Look at recent examples. Mikko Rantanen injures Alexander Romanov. 5-minute major, ejection, but no supplemental discipline after the fact. Jamie Benn punches Mark Scheifele in the face during the playoffs. $5,000 fine. That's pocket change. That's not deterrence. That's a parking ticket for violence. And the instigator rule somehow makes this worse. A player gets clipped dangerously, a teammate responds, and suddenly the response is the bigger crime. The message becomes clear. Don't protect your star. Don't react. Just skate away and hope the league handles it later. Spoiler, it usually doesn't. Now let's talk about the physics problem, because this part is almost unfair. Elite players are more vulnerable not because they're weaker, but because they're faster. Connor McDavid skates faster than anyone else. Higher velocity means harder impacts. When he crashes, it's not the same crash as everyone else. The force involved is simply greater. Add to that the reality that elite players get hooked, tripped, held, and interfered with constantly because defenders have no other way to slow them down. Sometimes it gets called, sometimes it doesn't. In the playoffs, it basically disappears. So, your fastest, most valuable players are getting grabbed at full speed, colliding harder, and taking bigger impacts, all while the rulebook politely looks away. And then there's the culture. This is the part hockey fans love and hate at the same time. Playing through pain is celebrated, heroized, turned into legend. Patrice Bergeron finishing playoff games through severe internal injuries. Gregory Campbell killing penalties on a fractured leg. These stories are hockey folklore, but they come with a real cost. The league doesn't just allow this culture, it reinforces it. There's no real framework for rest, no protected mechanism that says, hey, this guy is too important to run into the ground. Instead, the unspoken rule is simple. If you can stand, you play. And here's the irony. The NHL suddenly cares deeply about player safety when it comes to the Olympics. Ice quality too risky? Players won't go. That's a real concern. But why does that concern vanish on a random Tuesday in February after a cross-country flight? That contradiction says everything. Safety matters when liability matters. Tradition matters the rest of the time. The data backs it up. Players who get injured once are far more likely to get injured again. Shoulders, groins, heads, it compounds. Centers and defensemen are hit hardest because of how they play and where they're positioned. This isn't randomness, it's environment. So when you step back and connect the dots, it becomes hard to deny. The NHL structure wears down its stars. The schedule exhausts them. The rules don't fully protect them. The culture pressures them to ignore pain. And the league keeps adding games instead of solutions. The wild part? Fans don't want this. Nobody tunes in hoping to see the best players on injured reserve. Nobody buys tickets for lineup graphics full of scratches. The league sells stars, then builds a system that shortens their primes. So here's the real question. How many careers have we already shortened without realizing it? How many peaks never happened because someone played through something they shouldn't have? And how many more are we going to watch limp off the ice before the league admits this isn't just hockey being hockey? Because toughness is great, tradition matters, but the best version of the NHL is the one where its superstars are actually on the ice, doing superstar things, not watching from the press box with an ice pack. And if the league truly wants to grow, that might be the toughest adjustment of all. What makes this even harder to swallow is that the NHL already has the blueprint sitting right there. Other leagues have shown that protecting stars doesn't weaken the product, it strengthens it. When the best players are healthy, the games are faster, cleaner, and more watchable. Rivalries feel bigger, moments feel sharper. Nobody remembers a gritty Tuesday night win in February the way they remember a superstar doing something ridiculous in April. There's also a financial angle the league rarely acknowledges out loud. Stars sell jerseys. Stars sell tickets. Stars sell TV packages. When they're hurt, the entire ecosystem takes a hit. A nationally televised game loses juice when half the marquee names are missing. Casual fans don't tune in for next man up storylines. They tune in to see the best of the best. And yet, year after year, the league treats injuries like collateral damage rather than a warning sign. Press conferences talk about upper body issues and day-to-day evaluations as if vagueness somehow softens the reality. Behind the scenes, players are stacking treatments, injections, and rehab just to survive the schedule. The scary part is, how normalized all of this has become. Fans almost expect stars to miss some time now. We build injury clauses into predictions. We shrug when someone gets hurt and say, "That's hockey." But it shouldn't be. Not at this scale. Not when the same issues repeat every season. None of this means turning hockey into something unrecognizable. Physicality can exist without recklessness. Toughness can exist without negligence. Accountability can exist without killing the flow of the game. It's not about removing contact, it's about removing indifference. If the NHL wants its next generation to last longer, shine brighter, and actually reach their full potential, something has to give. Fewer back-to-backs, better enforcement, real rest, a culture shift that values longevity as much as grit. Because the saddest outcome isn't a superstar missing a month, it's a superstar never becoming what they were supposed to be. And the league is running out of excuses for why that keeps happening.